Let me ask you a question. If there were a single tool, free, simple, widely available, that could make your immune system stronger, lower your risk of infection, and even reduce the severity of illness, would you use it? Vitamin D is often thought of as just another nutrient on a long list of vitamins and minerals we need to stay healthy. But that view drastically underestimates what it actually does. This is not simply a vitamin in the way we think about vitamin C or vitamin B12. Vitamin D functions more like a conductor in a symphony, quietly guiding and directing the immune system so that every part plays in harmony. It's a hormone-like substance that interacts with receptors in nearly every cell of the body, influencing the expression of hundreds of genes. And many of those genes are directly involved in our body's ability to recognize, respond to, and recover from infections. When the immune system is faced with a pathogen, whether it's a virus, a bacterium, or even a fungus, it launches a complex defense. Part of that defense is the innate immune system, the rapid response team that acts within hours. Vitamin D helps this team by activating the production of antimicrobial peptides, tiny proteins that literally pierce holes in the membranes of invading microbes, making it almost impossible for them to survive. This isn't about boosting immunity in a vague sense. It's about enabling specific, targeted, frontline weapons to work at their highest potential. On the other side of the immune response is the adaptive system, the slower, more specialized branch that remembers pathogens for the future. Vitamin D plays an equally vital role here. It influences the behavior of T cells, B cells, and other key players, ensuring they are neither sluggish nor overzealous. Too much immune activity can be just as dangerous as too little. Think of an infection that spirals into a cytokine storm where the immune system's overreaction causes more damage than the pathogen itself. Adequate vitamin D helps prevent that from happening by keeping inflammation in check while still allowing for a strong defense. What's remarkable is how this balancing act works in real-life scenarios. Studies have shown that individuals with optimal vitamin D levels are less likely to contract respiratory infections. When they do get sick, the illness is often shorter and less severe. The same pattern has been observed in more serious conditions where vitamin D status appears to influence outcomes. This is not magic, it's biochemistry. The body is designed to use this molecule as part of its communication and control system for immunity. Unfortunately, in today's world, many people are running low on this crucial regulator without realizing it. That means their immune system is operating without one of its key control knobs. The innate defenses may be a little slower to respond, the adaptive forces may misfire, and the person may chalk it up to just bad luck when they get sick more often or recover more slowly, when in fact part of the problem is that their immune system is working without full coordination. Restoring adequate vitamin D isn't about chasing a miracle cure, it's about giving the immune system the resources it was built to use. Just as a pilot needs a functioning control panel to navigate turbulence, the immune system needs vitamin D to navigate the constant turbulence of microbial threats. Without it, the journey is more dangerous and the margin for error is smaller. With it, the system is tuned, alert, and balanced, ready to defend, but wise enough to stand down when the job is done. In the big picture, vitamin D is not simply a vitamin. It's a biological signal, a messenger from the sun, from our evolutionary past, reminding our bodies how to stay resilient. When we ensure it's present in the right amounts, we aren't just supporting health, we're restoring an ancient conversation between our environment and our immune system, one that has kept humans alive for millennia. It's easy to assume that because vitamin D comes from something as simple as sunlight, most people must be getting enough. But the reality is quite the opposite. Widespread vitamin D deficiency is not a rare problem. It's the norm in many parts of the world. And it's not just happening in places with long, dark winters. Even in sunny climates, many people's blood levels fall far below what's needed for optimal immune function. The primary reason is our modern way of living. For thousands of years, humans spent the majority of their waking hours outdoors, hunting, gathering, farming, building, under direct sunlight. Our skin was designed to use those rays, specifically ultraviolet B light, to synthesize vitamin D. It was a perfect system. When the sun was high in the sky and most potent, our bodies could produce large amounts of this essential molecule. But that system only works when the skin actually sees the sun. Today, our lives are structured differently. We wake up indoors, travel to work or school in enclosed vehicles, and spend our days under artificial lighting that provides no ultraviolet B. Even leisure time is often spent in shaded areas or inside. The result: days or even weeks can pass with minimal direct sun exposure, and our skin never gets the signal to make vitamin D. Layered on top of this are other factors that further reduce production. Sunscreen, for example, is an important tool for preventing skin damage, but it also blocks most of the ultraviolet B rays needed to initiate vitamin D synthesis. Clothing that covers most of the skin, whether for cultural, occupational, or seasonal reasons, has the same effect. Geographic location plays a role as well. If you live far from the equator, the angle of the sun in the sky during the winter months means UVB rays are too weak to produce vitamin D, no matter how sunny it looks. For many people in northern latitudes, this can mean 4 to 6 months each year with virtually no natural vitamin D production at all. Skin pigmentation adds another layer of complexity. Melanin, the pigment that gives skin its color, acts as a natural sunscreen. This is incredibly protective in sunny, high UV environments, but in low UV settings, it means more sun exposure is required to produce the same amount of vitamin D as someone with lighter skin. In today's globalized world, many people live far from the environments their ancestors adapted to, and their skin may not be matched to the UV availability in their current location. Even diet can't fully make up for this shortfall. While a few foods contain vitamin D, fatty fish, egg yolks, fortified dairy, the amounts are relatively small compared to what our skin can make in just 15 to 30 minutes of direct sun exposure. That's why the body's primary design for obtaining vitamin D is still sunlight, not diet. Without that input, deficiency is almost inevitable unless supplementation is introduced. The challenge is that most people don't feel an immediate symptom when their vitamin D levels drop. There's no flashing warning light. Instead, the consequences build quietly: greater susceptibility to infections, slower recovery from illness, subtle changes in energy and mood. It's only when we step back and look at the patterns, both in populations and in individual health histories, that the connections become obvious. In short, our modern comforts, indoor living, climate control, sun protection, have unintentionally cut us off from one of nature's simplest and most powerful health supports. We've engineered ourselves into a deficiency. The good news is that awareness is the first step toward change. Once you understand how and why deficiency develops, you can take simple, intentional steps to reconnect with the natural source or to replace it effectively when the sun can't do the job. The evidence linking vitamin D to immune health is both extensive and compelling, and it reveals just how critical this molecule is in protecting the body from illness. When we examine the research, it becomes clear that vitamin D is not just a supporting player in immunity, it is a central regulator. Observational studies consistently show that individuals with adequate levels of vitamin D experience fewer infections, particularly of the respiratory tract. In other words, people who maintain sufficient vitamin D are less likely to catch colds, influenza, or other respiratory illnesses, and when they do become sick, the severity is often reduced. This is not anecdotal, it is a pattern that emerges across diverse populations, climates, and age groups. Clinical studies further reinforce this point. Randomized controlled trials, the gold standard in medical research, have demonstrated that supplementing with vitamin D can reduce the risk of acute respiratory infections. The effect is particularly pronounced in individuals who are deficient to begin with. What this tells us is that vitamin D is not merely a passive indicator of health or a coincidental marker. It actively contributes to the immune system's ability to respond to pathogens. The molecules it regulates, the genes it influences, and the immune cells it activates all work together to create a system that is more alert, more balanced, and more capable of defending the body. During the COVID-19 pandemic, interest in vitamin D skyrocketed, and for good reason. Multiple studies found that individuals with sufficient vitamin D levels were less likely to develop severe COVID-19 and were more likely to recover quickly if they became infected. While vitamin D is not a cure or a replacement for vaccines or standard medical care, these findings highlight its role as a modulator of immune resilience. The immune system, when supported by adequate vitamin D, is better prepared to handle infections efficiently without triggering excessive inflammation that can worsen outcomes. Vitamin D achieves these effects through multiple mechanisms. On the innate side, it stimulates the production of antimicrobial peptides, which are small proteins that directly attack invading microbes. On the adaptive side, it helps regulate T cells and B cells, ensuring that the immune response is targeted and effective rather than excessive or misdirected. This dual role, strengthening defenses while preventing harmful overreactions, is one reason why vitamin D sufficiency consistently correlates with better health outcomes in infections and other immune-related conditions. The data are further strengthened by population studies showing that low vitamin D levels often correlate with higher rates of infection, hospitalization, and even mortality from respiratory illnesses. These patterns appear across different regions, ethnic groups, and age brackets. While correlation does not automatically imply causation, the biological mechanisms behind vitamin D's actions provide a plausible explanation for these observations. When a deficiency exists, the immune system lacks a key signal needed to mount a timely and appropriate response, leaving the body more vulnerable to pathogens. Importantly, vitamin D's benefits extend beyond acute infection. Adequate levels are associated with reduced risk of chronic inflammatory conditions, autoimmune diseases, and other immune-related disorders. This reinforces the idea that vitamin D is not simply a short-term booster, but a long-term regulator of immune function. Maintaining optimal vitamin D levels is therefore both a preventive strategy and a way to enhance resilience, allowing the body to respond more effectively to health challenges throughout life. In short, the scientific evidence makes it clear vitamin D is a cornerstone of immune health. It is not a minor factor or a convenient supplement. It is a molecule that shapes the very way the immune system responds to threats. Ensuring sufficient levels is one of the most straightforward, evidence-based steps anyone can take to improve immune resilience and overall well-being. Vitamin D is unique among nutrients because the body has a built-in system to produce it naturally. Unlike other vitamins that must come exclusively from food, vitamin D is synthesized in the skin through a chemical reaction triggered by sunlight. Specifically, ultraviolet B rays from the sun convert a cholesterol-related compound in the skin into vitamin D3, which is then activated in the liver and kidneys to become usable by the body. This is an elegant design that evolution has honed over millions of years. Our bodies were meant to use sunlight as a daily signal for health and immune resilience. Sunlight exposure is, therefore, the most natural and efficient way to maintain vitamin D levels. But not all sun exposure is created equal. The time of day, the season, and the latitude all influence how much ultraviolet B reaches the skin. Midday sun, when the sun is highest in the sky, provides the most effective rays for vitamin D production. Early morning or late afternoon sun, while still beneficial for overall well-being, produces very little vitamin D. Likewise, in winter months at higher latitudes, the angle of the sun is such that ultraviolet B rays are weak, and even a long time outdoors may produce minimal vitamin D. These variations mean that while sunlight is the ideal source, it is not always sufficient, and intentional strategies are often necessary. Diet can supplement sunlight but cannot fully replace it. Certain foods are naturally rich in vitamin D, including fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, as well as egg yolks and liver. Some foods are fortified, such as dairy products, plant-based milks, and cereals, but the amounts remain relatively small. For example, a single serving of fortified milk might provide only 100 IU of vitamin D, while the daily requirement for many adults is several times that. This is why, for most people, sunlight remains the cornerstone of maintaining adequate vitamin D levels, with diet acting as an important but secondary support. When sunlight is limited, due to geographic location, season, skin coverage, or lifestyle, supplementation becomes an important tool. Vitamin D supplements, typically in the form of vitamin D3, provide a reliable and measurable way ensure the body receives what it needs. Unlike other nutrients where small amounts are sufficient, vitamin D levels are easily measured with a simple blood test, allowing for precise adjustments. This makes supplementation not just convenient, but also scientific. Individuals can correct deficiencies and maintain optimal levels based on measurable data rather than guesswork. It's also important to recognize that vitamin D works synergistically with other aspects of a healthy lifestyle. Adequate sleep, balanced nutrition, regular exercise, and stress management all contribute to immune function, and vitamin D enhances these benefits by acting as a key regulatory molecule. Think of it as a central hub. Sunlight or supplements provide the raw material, diet supports the framework, and healthy lifestyle habits create the optimal environment for the immune system to operate effectively. Ultimately, the take-home message is clear. Vitamin D is a molecule that the body was designed to produce through natural sunlight, and it can be supported through diet and supplementation when sunlight is insufficient. Understanding how to balance these sources allows individuals to take control of their health in a tangible, evidence-based way. By prioritizing both sun exposure and dietary or supplemental sources, we can ensure that this critical immune regulator is present in adequate amounts, supporting resilience, recovery, and overall well-being in the face of both everyday challenges and more serious illnesses. One of the most overlooked steps in optimizing health is knowing where you stand. With vitamin D, this is particularly important because deficiency is often silent. Many people assume they are getting enough through diet or occasional sun exposure. Yet the reality is that modern lifestyles, geographic location, skin pigmentation, and even age can all limit the body's ability to maintain sufficient levels. Without testing, there is no way to know if the immune system is operating at its full potential or if it is functioning with a critical control knob turned down. Testing vitamin D is simple and precise. A blood test measuring 25-hydroxyvitamin D, often abbreviated as 20-FeNO-HD, provides a clear snapshot of the body's vitamin D status. This test is widely available, quick, and reliable. The results can then be compared against established ranges to determine whether levels are deficient, insufficient, adequate, or optimal. These categories are not arbitrary. They are based on extensive research showing the levels necessary to support immune function, bone health, and overall well-being. Knowing your number removes guesswork and allows for targeted action. Why is this so critical? Because vitamin D functions as a regulator of the immune system, and both too little and, in rare cases, too much can have consequences. Deficiency leaves the body vulnerable to infection, slows recovery, and can exacerbate chronic inflammation. In contrast, maintaining levels within the optimal range enhances immune resilience, helping the body respond efficiently to pathogens, while preventing excessive inflammatory reactions. This delicate balance is impossible to achieve without knowing where you start. Testing transforms an invisible factor into actionable knowledge. Once a test reveals your vitamin D status, adjustments can be made safely and effectively. If levels are low, supplementation or intentional sun exposure can correct the deficiency. The beauty of this approach is that it can be individualized. Everyone's vitamin D needs differ based on age, weight, skin color, lifestyle, and geographic location. A one-size-fits-all recommendation is rarely sufficient. Testing allows for personalized guidance, ensuring that supplementation is neither too little nor unnecessarily excessive. This precision maximizes benefits while minimizing risks. Regular monitoring is also valuable. Vitamin D levels can fluctuate seasonally or in response to lifestyle changes. For example, someone who spends more time indoors during the winter may see their levels drop, while increasing outdoor activity in the summer may naturally raise them. Periodic testing allows for these shifts to be tracked and adjustments made proactively. This creates a dynamic approach to health where decisions are guided by data rather than assumptions. Testing also provides motivation. Seeing a concrete number can be a wake-up call, encouraging individuals to adopt habits that support optimal vitamin D status. It moves the conversation from abstract advice to measurable outcomes. It's one thing to be told that sunlight and supplementation are important. It's another to see a number confirming that your body is truly low or borderline, giving a clear reason to act. Ultimately, knowing your vitamin D level empowers you to take control of a critical aspect of your health. It turns uncertainty into clarity, guesswork into precision, and potential vulnerability into actionable strategy. By measuring, monitoring, and adjusting, individuals can ensure that their immune system has the support it needs to function at its best. Testing is not merely a clinical tool, it's a key step in self-awareness, prevention, and the proactive management of well-being. It transforms vitamin D from an abstract concept into a concrete, manageable factor in your overall health plan. Optimizing vitamin D levels is not about a single action or one-time fix. It is about adopting a strategic approach that combines knowledge, lifestyle, and supplementation to create lasting health benefits. The first step is understanding the individual's unique needs. Factors such as age, body weight, skin pigmentation, geographic location, and even underlying health conditions all influence how much vitamin D the body requires. For instance, older adults synthesize vitamin D less efficiently through sunlight, making supplementation particularly important, while people living at higher latitudes may experience prolonged periods of low UVB exposure. And recognizing these differences allows for a personalized plan rather than relying solely on generalized guidelines. Next comes establishing reliable sources of vitamin D. Sunlight remains the most natural and effective method, yet modern lifestyles often limit its availability. To counter this, intentional sun exposure can be scheduled during times of day when UVB rays are strongest, usually around midday. Even short periods of sun on exposed skin can produce significant amounts of vitamin D. When sunlight is insufficient due to season, geographic location, or lifestyle restrictions, supplementation becomes critical. Vitamin D3 is generally preferred for its efficiency in raising blood levels, and the dosage can be tailored based on baseline blood test results to achieve optimal levels safely. Dietary support is another important component. While food alone rarely provides enough vitamin D to meet daily requirements, it plays a complementary role in maintaining consistent levels. Fatty fish such as salmon, mackerel, and sardines, egg yolks, and fortified foods contribute additional vitamin D that can help bridge gaps on days when sunlight exposure or supplementation might be suboptimal. Pairing these foods with sources of healthy fat enhances absorption, as vitamin D is fat-soluble, further improving its efficacy. Monitoring and adjustment are crucial for long-term success. Blood tests should be repeated periodically to ensure that vitamin D levels remain within the optimal range. Levels can fluctuate due to seasonal changes, lifestyle adjustments, or health conditions, and ongoing monitoring allows for fine-tuning supplementation and exposure to maintain stability. This proactive approach prevents both deficiency and unnecessary excess, creating a balance that supports immune function, bone health, and overall well-being. It is equally important to recognize that vitamin D works synergistically with other aspects of a healthy lifestyle. Regular exercise, sufficient sleep, stress management, and a balanced diet all interact with vitamin D to enhance immune resilience. Optimizing vitamin D alone can provide substantial benefits, but when combined with these other practices, the effects on overall health are amplified. Think of vitamin D as a key that unlocks the full potential of the body's natural defenses, but the lock functions best when the rest of the system is in harmony. Finally, commitment and consistency are vital. Short-term interventions are rarely effective. Vitamin D optimization is a long-term investment in health. By adopting a structured plan that includes regular testing, consistent supplementation, mindful sun exposure, and supportive dietary choices, individuals can maintain optimal levels year-round. This consistent attention ensures that the immune system has the resources it needs to respond effectively to pathogens, recover efficiently from illness, and function at its best over the long term. In essence, optimizing vitamin D is both science and strategy. It requires understanding personal needs, implementing reliable sources, monitoring progress, and integrating the approach into a broader healthy lifestyle. This methodical, intentional practice transforms vitamin D from a vague recommendation into a tangible, actionable tool for immune resilience, longevity, and overall well-being. By committing to this approach, individuals empower themselves to take control of one of the most fundamental aspects of their health,